12 and...
Pull up week 1
and
as well.
12 to go, pretty much. Week 1 here in the sheet. This?
Yeah, okay, cool. So we're about 12 weeks into the push since we finished the diet, aren't we? And as Keane said there, we've like 12 weeks left. So 12 weeks before prep starts? Is that what it's saying?
You have from here, so today is, we'll take this date here, so the week 31 to week 43, 12 weeks till prep starts. 10 weeks left in a push, I suppose. 2 weeks of a bit of a holding phase there if we're in Dubai, and then back home and back into it.
Yeah, so last update was at 8 weeks. I said while I'm here with Keane, it actually worked out pretty well now. We'll do an update here at week 12 and just get Keane's I suppose, recap of the last 30 weeks. 30 weeks, we're just moved into week 31, and then exactly sort of what we're kind of aiming for and what's laid out here in front of us for the rest of the gaining phase, prep next year, maybe a little what the idea will be, you know, for that prep and then after the prep, and we're just gonna lay it down just exactly like I did in the last one, you know, and just take you a little bit deeper into it. Maybe you can touch a little bit on. Obviously, I've got like 4 or 5 weeks, unfortunately, left of my push and my blast, which is a shame because I'm fucking not looking forward to pulling back down, but that's just something that we have to do as well. And obviously push into a cruise then leading up to the start of prep, and then we'll be back on blast then for the entire, you blast for the entirety of prep, don't you?
Entirety of prep, yeah, and then after prep, again, just where you're at, you know, first prep, probably just do another health phase again. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't rebound or anything, not first, for sure.
Okay, cool. Quick recap. I haven't actually spoken about this, we haven't gone back in the updates that far. So week 1, my first check-in with Keane, we were 102.3 kilo at the heaviest. November last year I was 105. So I was kind of hovering about 105 was my heaviest, and I was just messing around for a while. I was trying to get back into it because I was over and back with you a good bit, and every time I was over here you were asking me have I been training, and I'd only trained once.
Trained once in about 5 weeks.
In about 5 weeks every time since I came over. So we were at 102 when I started back in April with Keane, and I was just slowly getting back into it. Obviously we got into a diet straight away, which was, you know, just easing into it really, just kind of getting my feet back with obviously being on a training plan, being on a meal plan.
But like you didn't need to go 0 to 100 anyway, you just need to get in, get a bit of structure, get a bit of routine, like, you know, go to the gym 4 times a week. You just needed to kind of just get in and get moving. That was all the most important thing to get started, was just to lay down a bit of a foundation with you. Then you could press on, you know what I mean? Like we didn't go too aggressive to begin, it was reasonable. And then when you were ready, which I believe was probably after that little trip you had, I think 2-3 weeks we had off in the middle of it with Lanzarote and stuff, then it was like, right, drop the hammer a little bit coming back from there.
Yeah, so we had like the initial first like 6 or 8 weeks there, and then we were in Lanzarote. I do think like I did still, like, you know, I was continuing to be fairly on point with my food in Lanzarote. I was checking in with Keane, came home from Lanzarote then and just, you know, cracked back into it, and just, that's when we fucking put the hammer down, do you know?
Yeah.
Because I said to Keane, look, I said, this isn't a job that needs to be done, you know, precisely, because obviously we didn't have any specific thing that we were working towards. I just wanted to get that shit job done as quick as we could and get moving into the gaining phase. So we wrapped that up then. 12th of August was the day he said, right, it's time to pull this. And
best day of your life.
It was just like that first bowl of oats, boy, fucking hell, because carbs were out completely for a finish, which worked at the end of the day, like, didn't it? Yeah. High cardio, 0 carb. It's not for everyone, you know. I wouldn't fucking just put anyone on it, you know, or a lot of people really.
Majority of people wouldn't work for it, but as I said in our YouTube yesterday on my channel, that, you know, you were just that outlier that was like, I know I can handle this, let's do it. And I'm like, yeah, sound. Do you know what I mean? So if the client gives you the knowledge and you trust them to be able to stick to it, then there's no harm doing something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously 12 weeks in, I did an update at 8 weeks. Just what have your thoughts, like proper coach mode now, what are your thoughts on the last 12 weeks? Like if we're looking at, obviously, we're looking here at pictures from week one of the bulk dieting phase out of the way, right? That was done. Maybe we could have been leaner, maybe not, whatever. But what your thoughts are on the position we started in, obviously the timeline that we have to work on, right?
Yeah.
You know, what we're obviously aiming for with prep next year, and how the last 12 weeks have gone. I'm just going to check the camera while you're starting there.
Yeah, check the camera there, so it's all good. Good?
Yeah, no, belt away, boy.
Right, so you want to start from kind of when we finish the diet phase, kind of moving into like that recon.
Yeah, that's where we're kind of at the moment, you know.
Yeah. So what dieting phase was total of, say, 18 weeks. Now there was a 3-week period there in the middle of it that he was away at Lanzarote and stuff. But even with Lanzarote, he still came back 2 kilos lighter. So you were still moving, you know, body was still coming down. Then when we did hold, like we got to the position that it was 86.9 on average, body weight wise. Like we could have continued to drive it down to like 80. Like you could have taken off that body fat if you wanted to, but I just thought the position that we were in, you know, we kind of needed to understand that, right, we do need to grow too, and if we just solely focus on fat loss, we probably need to extend that dieting phase for another, you know, maybe 6 weeks or however long it needed to be. So we just kind of held that 86 number, started adding food, and actually started to continue to drop weight then off the back end of by just adding in calories, giving the body back some energy. We moved in as well, I believe. We changed around training, we moved it to 5 days, pulled down that cardio a little bit. So even like just looking at the adjustments, like the first adjustment was, you know, decent enough, put in 600 calories, took away 210 minutes of cardio. The week after that, another 200 calories, another decrease in cardio, another 200 calories, another decrease in cardio, another 200 calories. So over the space of the initial 4 weeks in, say, the recomp kind of phase that we did, we added in 1,200 calories back to back pretty much, and the body weight from there went from 86 on average down to kind of 84.7, and we're kind of holding that. Then we kind of held 85 for a little bit, in between 85s, 84s, 85s, and we're kind of holding that since. So like, because we needed size, like I knew that if we just kept pushing the dieting phase, like we were going to only, you know, we weren't going to get the time that we wanted in the gaining phase to build the muscle that we needed for prep next year. And that's just when, you know, coaches need to understand that you can still chase fat loss, but just through different methods, you know what I mean? Like you can still add in calories, you can push your training performance, and then you can still burn more calories at the back end of it. And I think, like, yeah, your transformation from fucking 102 kilos to 85 was amazing, but the transformation from 85 to 85 over that, you know, 6-8 week period, that's nearly more impressive, because same body weight, but calories have gone up 1,200. Cardio's down to very much a baseline now, and physique wise getting bigger and leaner, and that's where food can kind of come in and can be your best friend pretty much, you know what I mean? If you manage it and you do it properly, you don't just, you know, oh, I'm done my dieting phase now, it's fucking a load of food. That's how it's going to get sloppy. Just, you know, add in food, but keep that meticulous, you know, approach that you had over the dieting phase, and that's what you have done. That's why, you know, you're able to benefit so much from the extra food, because you could put in the extra food, you could then give back to the training, you were keeping your routine on point, you continue to do your cardio. So, you know, that food was used solely as fuel. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was nothing excess in there. We didn't, you know, like I could have put in, you know, because realistically we finished our dieting phase on low food, like low food, 0 carb pretty much. I think we had like 50 carb from like Trace.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like it was low. So I could have said, right, let's jump back up to 250 carb or 500 carb or whatever, you know, fucked in a low at you. But that wouldn't have done anything. Do you know what I mean? You only needed a nice little jump to give back that energy, you know, to provide yourself more energy and then to burn more energy off the back end of it. So that's pretty much kind of what we did.
Question for you there, right? Actually, as well, and I checked in on Monday. Right, at like 87, in the 87s, across from like last week, and Keane was like, "What were you up to? I just moved scales, so that's actually something for you as well. If you're in the gym, like I see it the whole time now, people walking into the gym before they train, like in the evening time, hopping on the scales. And I've seen PTs putting people on scales.
I know, yeah.
Do you know, and it's like, fucking hell, just one thing you do is just not weigh yourself in the bloody gym on the stupid scales inside there.
Clothes and a full day of eating and water, like you know, you could be 3 kilos heavier easily.
I know, it's just putting a dampener on the rest of the day. But questioner for you here. Question for you. Because this is where I'm like I'm thinking, how many weeks am I actually into the gaining phase?
Yeah.
I know like it's not a big deal, it doesn't make a difference, but I just like to know, because when I'm talking about it, I'm kind of like, you know, we spent the first few weeks obviously reversing out.
Yeah.
What point here do you say, okay, we finished the dieting phase there in the middle of August, right?
Yeah.
What point do you say, okay, the gaining phase has begun, after you've like reversed out of it? Like, where do you think we started?
There's like, you know, there wasn't a set answer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was just with you. It was just like, right.
It wasn't just like right, this is week 1 of the gaining phase.
Yeah, no, it was like that recomp could have been extended another 2 weeks, or it could have been 2 weeks shorter. It was just let it run for however long it could run for, because realistically, like, that recomp phase is the golden ticket. Like, that's where you want to be. That's where you're building muscle and dropping body fat at the same time. And you know, that's not always going to happen. I wouldn't be able to go into a recomp really right now, the position I'm in. Do you know what I mean? You have to kind of be in that position. You have to come from a position where you're eating, you know, less food.
Yeah.
Like, it can happen with a lot of people. Happens with a lot. I find it happens to females a lot. I know it's a tangent, but like, more so females that come in where they have been under eating for a long time. You know, they've been on the 1200 calorie diet. They've been training, but they haven't seen the results they want to train, because they haven't been fueling themselves. Like, I've had girls that can go through recomps for 6-9 months. Do you know what I mean? Just adding food, keeping that body weight the same. Put in nearly 200 or 2,000 calories, I say, into their diet over 6 months, however long it's going to be. Body weight staying the same, and just that body fat coming down and muscle mass going up. But for you, it was kind of just like, right, you know, we kind of added into that last little bit of food, and then you could see the body weight just kind of starting to creep up week after week. You know, it was slowly starting to move up. There was never a drop. So I was like, yeah, okay, we're starting to move into now. The body's kind of done with that recomp. It's ready to start.
I definitely feel like I am attached to that a small little bit, and I'm glad I've been able to, like, this is the first time I've been able to hold body weight, just really see, just on average, the small increases, because like there was a lot of weeks it wasn't moving, but on average, like, it is moving.
Yeah.
That small little bit. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if there was just weight going on and on, you know,
but that's where your photos come into play. Do you know what I mean? And that's where you need to know what you're looking for, because like, if you know, you were sending your coach just your body weight, you know what I mean, and if body weight isn't going anywhere, they'd be like, okay, what's happening here? Whereas if you can look at the photos and actually keep your photos the same pose, the same light, and then you can say, okay, no, things are moving here.
Yeah.
Don't mind the body weight. I know what's happening. You know, rather than food, it's just been put to good use. So that's pretty much, you know, what was going on there.
Yeah, exactly. That pretty much wraps up to where we are now.
Yeah.
So food wise, cardio wise, like cardio, like you probably would have brought cardio down a small little bit more. Like,
yeah, well, like, we just kind of had the chat in terms of like, what do you want to do with cardio? Like, do you want to have it kept in for yourself and for your routine? And you did, and I was like, yeah, like, I'm happy to go ahead with that, because realistically, like, we can start prep with a position of no cardio now. Do you know what I mean? If we keep that cardio in place, because, you know, we're going to be so cardiovascular fit starting off. We're going to have a high level of food. We can pull off that little bit of cardio and just use food as a driver for a good start of the prep. And obviously cardio is fatiguing in itself, so if we pull off that cardio, it should give us an extra little push training performance wise.
Yeah, definitely.
When, you know, food starts to come down and stuff as well in the diet, and then, you know, adding cardio, you know, a couple of weeks in or a couple of weeks out, whatever it needs to, like, look, I'm not going to promise it, you know what I mean, but whenever it needs to come back in, it'll come back in. But at least we can kind of do an Uno or reverse card on it, and you know, pull out the cardio when prep starts rather than adding it in now.
But that's the thing. It just keeps me in routine. Like, you know, that's my main thing. It's just week to week. Every week needs to be in routine, because that's why I noticed, like, and even a small little bit now, like even being 12 weeks in, you know, just small little things can just be starting to slip that little bit. It's just, if you catch it and
catch
just
yourself,
fucking and get
that's
away.
just the accountability though that you need to have with yourself too, especially like,
yeah, exactly.
Look, like, you know, I don't know who's watching this, but like, when it comes to like your regular lifestyle client, like, you know, you need to keep them fully accountable. But like, if you are doing a prep, like, you need to be accountable to yourself too. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to be able to hold yourself in line and say, no, wait, I'm starting to slip here a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
I do think though, like, you need to, one, if you're in a prep scenario, right, one, you need to obviously be in a position where you want to fucking do better for your coach, number one. But there needs to be a bigger reason than that as well, you know, obviously to keep yourself accountable. But food wise, we're sat on average, like we were just moving just one day across the board for a while. I think that worked pretty well. Like, I enjoyed that, especially when, like, hunger, because I would be looking at a rest day and thinking, you know, food is going to be a bit lower. I'm going to be hungry because I don't have that time spent in the gym and stuff. But we're at that point now where it's actually welcomed the odd day,
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
lower
yeah.
food. And not
Once you
having
kind of
to,
get to that point, like what was it? It was 2.9 pretty much
it's not a big difference, like.
on
but-
both days, and then I was like, right, look, we're pretty much hitting 3k calories on both days. Let's just move up that training day food. You know,
Yeah.
that rest day food is plenty. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Now we're in a position where you can just focus on pushing up like carbs on a training day and
Yeah.
fucking holding that rest day there as well. And it's only 2 days a week, you know, where I'm on that little bit
and if
lower food.
anything, like it gives you that little bit of appetite then for the next day. Do you know what I mean? When,
Yeah.
when the food is back in, because you don't have like 2 non-training days back to back or anything. You know what I mean? It's like 5 training days, 2 rest days. You know, spaced out.
That's
So,
the thing. Like the next day, I'm like, oh, extra bit of carbs here
extra
today.
bit of carbs. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah.
But I don't need a lot of food to grow. Simple as. The setup that we're running is absolutely perfect at the moment. Yeah, I could eat a lot more food, but it's not. I'm not in a position right now where I'm hungry. You know, I'm hungry for all my meals, which I should be. Every meal just goes down, and you know, it's not sitting there, and I'm like, fucking hell, I have to eat again in a couple hours and stuff, and then. I'm obviously going out for food with Dan, or like when we're over here in Manchester, I'm able to eat food, and you know, I'm at that position now where I'm able to go for a meal and I'm not like waking up the next morning like feeling or looking like a bag of shit. And obviously that's the type of food that you're going to eat, but like, you know, in previous times I'd eat food and like, because my body is just like in fight or flight, like the next day I'm like, fuck's sake, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But like you have more muscle now than you ever had before as well. Which
That's
is,
true.
Which is a big factor too. Like that's what people don't understand, and even like with girls, you know, like they think that like, you know, they go for a meal with their boyfriend, like, you know, your boyfriend can put away a lot more food than you can. Like, you know, like lads.
Some fellas.
Yeah, some fellas. Yeah. I'd be contemplating who's wearing the pants in the relationship if it was the other way around. But like, you know, like lads just need more food, and that's why like girls, you can say, do get the shorter end of the stick. Unfortunately, when it comes to it, like, you know, they're shorter in height, they have less muscle to take up less space. They're just going to need less calories as a whole. But the surplus you need isn't that big, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you just need enough of a surplus to drive fucking hypertrophy enough to, like, you know, enough to be able to recover in your sessions, that's all you need. Like, you don't need to be in a massive 1,000 fucking 2,000 cal surplus.
Yeah, but the big thing with me for food now is like knowing, like the goal that I have laying ahead of us is more important than fucking that little bit of food. Do you know what I mean? That little bit of extra food and just gaining that body fat for no reason, because
it's all gonna have to come off until a big time anyway.
I know, but like if body fat was to get that little bit higher, like I'm just going to start feeling really bad about myself again, and that can just lead to fucking more stupid stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's where food is at pretty much. I do want to touch on, and I know, like, it is. With my YouTube, obviously, like I'm sharing, you know, on my YouTube, I share pretty much just everything across the board. I do want to touch a small little bit on, you know, PEDs.
Yeah.
Because I've spoken about it before, and it's, even when I'm in the gym at the moment, like I've never been someone that wore a beater in the gym. A tank top. And obviously, when I get a pump at the moment inside the gym, a small little bit, you know, I look big enough, right?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm still a little bit lean and I have vascular and stuff, and just lads that I know and stuff, you know, that from fucking growing up with, if they're in the gym at the same time and stuff, they're like, oh, you back on the gear, lad, how much gear you take? And, you know, obviously it's that subject where you don't know much about it. It's like this big thing.
It's a big,
you know?
especially back, like, so taboo back home. I'm not saying if you're watching this to go and jump on gear or whatever, like, but, you know, it'll always probably be taboo, especially more back home, just because of how, not far ahead the industry is over here, but, you know, like, bodybuilding is very popular in the UK. Like, it is a big thing. You know what I mean? Like, in the grander schemes of things, it isn't a big thing, because obviously you have your normal sports, you know, your football and all that kind of stuff. But bodybuilding, there is a much bigger scene for it over here, so it isn't as taboo. And, you know, even now when I go home, like, I don't give a fuck, man. To be honest, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm choosing to do this. You know what I mean? So it's my call.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I just never want to put something out that influences, you know, someone younger than us to go and do something stupid, because that's not what we're here to do. But you know, I'm here to tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'm not talking numbers wise and stuff, but I started, you know, my first small cycle back fucking 2 years ago now. Probably around 2 years ago at this point. Ran that for a little bit, and the thing with it is, like, it's the icing on the cake. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything else isn't going right for you, and you're not doing everything else, like food, training. That isn't going to do much for you. But I just went cold turkey on it then, which again is something I wouldn't completely recommend to anyone to do, because it's just going to make you feel absolutely shit about yourself.
That's another reason why you were in such a rush. Like, it's not just because of the food and everything, it's because of coming off that cycle, do you know what I mean? And
Yeah, you know, it's the amount of hormones that are at play, you know, and you're probably not even thinking about it. You know, when you're taking stuff, you're only thinking about, fucking hell, how much muscle I'm going to build here with taking this. You don't realise, you know, one, how much, you know, it's going to have an effect on you, because it doesn't, you know, like the benefits that you get out of it, if you're doing it right and you're doing it safely, is just the icing on the cake. Two, something that I've realised only this year is you need to be in a position that you can afford it.
Oh yeah,
Simple as, because
and it's not just that you need to be able to afford the health stuff, you need to be able to afford.
That's what I'm saying. You know, it's not just getting a little bit of testosterone and, you know, working off that, because when does it stop? Do you know what I mean? Because you're gonna get used to it. You're gonna be like, right, what's next? What's next after this? And it's just gonna build and build and build, and you never want to be in a position where you can't afford something like that. Do you know, which is a small aspect of your life. Do you know, when you've got, you know, bills and everything else that you need to obviously be putting first. But that's why I wanted to touch on that, is because we obviously had that in there as well. You know, I'm coming to the end of my blast. We're going to be moving into a cruise, which is basically, you know, you're coming off the extra bits and you're kind of getting back to like what your normal hormones would be, pretty much. Like,
yeah, you're just dropping down to more of like a health phase, if you want to put it that way, more down to like a TRT kind of dose, and just pull things back, give yourself a bit of time, run some bloods, make sure everything's in a good spot before you kind of press on again. Yeah.
And that pretty much wraps up, you know, where we are to now. Main thing, last thing that I want to ask you is, like, in your eyes, I'll obviously have my own idea in my head, like, in your head, what way do you see obviously the next 12 weeks of this until prep starts? Prep, we're aiming to start that, you can fucking tell them when we're planning to start prep, but what are your idea? Obviously, like, when I started with Keane, he laid it out for me pretty much from the get-go. I knew exactly, you know, when we're kind of aiming for stage-wise, when prep will be starting, when the gaining phase will be ending, when we'll be cruising, which is really good to look forward
really
to.
Really important to have time.
You know, what's your idea for the next couple of months, and then obviously prep then as well? With obviously having a show in mind now as well.
Yeah, I'll go back to just what you said there as well. I think one of the most important things, like when someone comes in, especially with you, Massey, because of where you're at, like, it's laying out a timeline and, you know, making them excited about it too, like giving them something to work towards. I'm very much like I'm a visual learner, and I think a lot of people are, where it's like, if I can see it, I can achieve it kind of thing. Like, I have it all laid out. This much time spent in this phase, this much time in this phase, this is roughly when we'll be starting this. So you know what needs to be done, roughly how many weeks we need to do it in, you know, and it gives you something to work towards. Okay, I'm in this phase now, this is my next phase, I know what's coming up. And, you know, you're more inclined to, as a client, you know, follow something if you know for how long and why, and, you know the ins and outs of it, rather than just blindly working towards something with no kind of, you know, rough timeline or end date in mind. But yeah, we have 12 weeks pretty much till prep starts. So we have about 6 weeks or a couple of weeks there left in this blast. Bit of a health phase kind of during Christmas time, which is when you want to do it really. You know, December is that month where obviously you'll be socialising a little bit more, you'll be seeing friends and family, all that kind of stuff. It's just nice to kind of pull back there, and then into January as well if we're doing a bit of travelling. You know, so we pull back into that health phase, run our bloods, and then from there we're looking at starting prep 12 weeks from now, which is pretty much kind of like that.
Like the first week of
February.
February.
Like the first week of February, pretty much, okay? So just prior to that, what we'll do is just drop down to a bit of like a maintenance phase, kind of like a pre-prep phase. Just make sure lifestyle factors are in order, all that kind of stuff. Might, you know, layer in one or two things or pull back one or two things.
I kind of like there as well that I kind of have, you know, it's not, I'm not starting prep here like fucking, you know, week 1 of January, so I kind of have that bit of time.
You kind of have that bit of time in that month too. I'd rather, you know, that's why, like, where are we here? We're up till like kind of mid-December wise, I suppose, until we kind of start kind of cruising, you know what I mean? And you can cruise through here, and even the first kind of, you know, I suppose, the first 2 weeks there in that kind of pre-prep phase, still in cruise. When prep officially begins, then we go back on blast. But we have, how long do we have to put in this? We have 2 weeks of like a pre-prep phase, which again, do with everyone just to make sure everything's in order, just kind of setting out, you know, even little things that we'll do just to make sure that, you know, not physically but also mentally, you know, what we're doing, you know, so kind of signing that contract with yourself, like, right, we're about to transition into this phase now, do you know what I mean? Like, let's
yeah, and there will be that right, that's day one of prep,
Yeah.
right, on that check-in. We'll do that full round.
Yeah.
I'll have my posing nailed down, which is, again, I started posing last week properly, and you don't realise, like,
There's a lot that goes into it, boy.
a lot goes into that. That's one thing. I want to have posing, like, nailed for the start of prep. Like Jim was even saying, you want, like, even when you're at your fattest, you want to have that round. So when you're at your leanest, you have that round.
You
as
have
well,
the
do you know
round
what I
done,
mean?
do you know what I mean? Yeah,
But
definitely.
there will be like that first day, right? Prep has begun, but ideally, like you were saying there, in those 2 weeks leading up to prep, you kind of want to just like be, the way I'm going now, if I start prep tomorrow, I'm in the same routine, but just building that routine back up to be in that prep mindset, really, because I think you do have to be, prepare and be in the prep mindset for that, and not just suddenly just, oh fuck, I'm doing a prep, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So we have 20 weeks pretty much set total on kind of that first show that we're looking at. 20 weeks is the right amount of time for you. Do you know what I mean? 20 weeks, and it'll be maybe 22 or 24 to do the shows. Yeah. But 22 to that or 20 weeks to the first show gives us enough time. Like, you're in a comfortable position. If we keep doing everything that we need to do and keeping it tidy, there'll be fat to come off, but we're not like pushing the boat unnecessarily crazy right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of like body composition, we're trying to keep that very much similar so we can start prep in such a good position. And like, what a lot of people don't realise, like, in the first couple of weeks of prep, like, you will become even more like efficient. Like, you will build muscle, you drop that little bit of body fat, you drop that little bit of sluggishness, because you drop that body fat, you're going to be slightly more responsive to food. So, and obviously going back on blast is a big thing as well. So like, you're going to see a nice turnaround. And I think even for the first, let's say my prep was like 24 weeks, like, I did a good bit of growing, like, maybe the first like maybe 12 to 16 weeks, just from like how, without you even realising how more mentally like switched on you are, like, like that training window is your be all and end all, do you know what I mean? Like, you're going in there and you're looking forward to it every day. You're just, absolutely fucking optimizing everything, maximizing everything, just getting everything that you can out of that day.
Your day is prep.
Your day is prep, you know what I mean? So everything is in order, you know what I mean, from the start pretty much. And the sooner you realise that you're on prep, that every day it's Groundhog Day, like, it's the same shit day after day. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a fucking Monday or a Saturday, it looks the same, you're in that routine.
Yeah.
Then you're just gonna, you're gonna make a good bit of progress over the first couple of months. So although prep begins like those first, like, say, however long we have set there through February, March, like, we'll still be doing a good bit of growing, even while we're dropping off that body fat.
What's exciting as well, it'll be like every like prep I've done, like, photo shoots and diets and stuff, has always been winter.
Winter, yeah.
And this has been my first like winter bulk. Do you know what I mean? Being able to actually be in a Gainer Fest.
So like, obviously for you, like, we're gonna make sure that we use our junior card. That's why we have the timeline where it is. So we're looking at a show mid kind of, what's that? July, is it?
End of June.
Or June, sorry. Mid/end of June. Yeah, end of June. So it gives us a good bit of time. To do what we need to do, and we still want to focus on certain muscle groups and bring those up, and that's what we will be continuing to do on prep. Just because we're on prep doesn't mean we're not going to be making progress. The biggest thing, and we both know, is the level of condition that we want to bring. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, you're just not going to be marked down on condition. Do you know what I mean? And regardless of who you are and what size you are and how much muscle you have, you can still bring condition, and that's still in your hands no matter what. So I don't think that, like, you're going to be like crazy out muscles on stage. I think you might have a bit of a feeling that you will be, but I don't think you will.
I do only for the fact, obviously we've only spent this short period of time in the grand scheme of things.
But I think when you look at that prep as the 20 week or 24 week, like, don't look at it as that. Like, look at the first 10 weeks as a bit of a growing phase too. Like, you are going to grow. You're going to grow a good bit in those first couple of weeks without you realising. So we still have a nice bit of time to make those improvements. And then, just as I said, bringing the condition, and, like, for a junior as well, like, up on stage, first timer show, like, if you're bringing condition to that, like, you're going to be marked well. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're going to see that. So bringing condition, that's always in your hands. That's down to you, but down to the coach as well. But down to you to bring that. And if you're out muscled by someone that has the same level of condition, then look, fair enough. Nothing you can do about that.
That's the thing,
you shake their hand. But the condition is always on your side, and we both know, the level of condition that you can get in from previous.
Well, we'll see now this year.
Yeah, we'll see this year now, exactly. Yeah, if we still have the minerals for it. But no, we know that we want to bring in next level condition. You know what I mean? That should always be the aim. Is to get inside out pretty much, okay? Especially if we're doing, you know, bodybuilding, you know, we're going to have the glutes on show, we're going to have the legs on show.
Camera stop there because we've been rambling on for more than half an hour and it cuts out after half an hour, but what were you talking about there, like the conditioning?
Just bringing the condition. That's in our hands, you know what I mean? And we still have a nice bit of time to add on some size. Like if we can just bring up that lower half a little bit. Nothing like, again, like when you're peeled, like your quads are actually decent when they're peeled, like they are. Like
I'm just very wary of if we're aiming for bodybuilding, just like the quads, you know.
It's not even the quads. I would say more so like the adductors is kind of where it'd be looking
Yeah,
at.
and even then, obviously, we're coming up to the upper body like chest, and I
Yeah.
know we still have time, but again, you know, that's my own fucking doing, you know, for taking the last years off. We're getting the season done as a junior.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what this year is about. Is it's kind of like, right, getting the experience. Same as my season last year, getting the experience as a junior, using that card, getting up on stage, and then just, all right, you know, I have that done now. Let's take some more time off and improve where we need to improve.
Yeah, that would be like, that's when I get that first prep under my belt. That's what I'll be excited for, like being
Yeah.
able to take maybe 2 years even.
Yeah,
And then
take
go back
whatever
into
time you
another
need
prep.
to take off. Yeah, just
Maybe a
do what
year,
you need
or
to
else
do.
I'll be like I was before, just get fat after prep and
Constantly,
then
no.
want to jump back into
No,
diving.
realistically, like, you know, for someone like you, what you finished there, probably take the rest 25 off and the rest 26 off, you know, and maybe 20.
Yeah, in 27. See, who knows what we'll be doing in 2027? But that pretty much wraps it up. I think, you know, that's a good. I wanted to get Keane's idea and just Keane's thoughts on the whole journey as well, because it's only myself, obviously, that's been giving you updates, and it's good to just get him here to see what it is. And obviously, we'll do the same then again, you know, when we finish this gaining phase and obviously move into
Yeah.
prep. You know, we'll both be in the same place.
We'll do
hopefully.
another wrap up, yeah.
But yeah, like that's been, again, as I've said, you know, my favourite probably fucking 4, 5, 6 months of doing this, of bodybuilding that I've ever
yeah.
done, you know, and I've been doing it for quite a long
But
time.
why do you think that is? Like, why do you think it is?
I think it's just like mindset wise, I just finally realised like I'd gotten to that point that I just felt I wasn't there, you know, I couldn't get
Yeah.
to it. Because like if something matters so much to you, why are you letting it go so much?
Yeah.
Fucking 6 months ago, I thought, how is he in the gym and fucking loving it?
Yeah.
How am I going to get that back?
Yeah.
know
That's
what I
just
mean?
the enjoyment factor too, and that's why, like, when you're choosing a coach, you probably choose a coach that you're going to get on with a little bit too, and you're going to be able to enjoy
Yeah.
the process with, you know what I mean, rather than...
Obviously, it's been a bit. You've played a huge role in the enjoyment part of it, and obviously the progress we fucking made in the last fucking 6 months. But that's just been a big part of it. I really thought, I was like, how am I going to get back
How
to
am I
enjoyment
going back
here?
to
Like,
enjoyment, yeah,
and bloody hell, it came back. But
And again, like, that's kind of what we said yesterday in one of the other videos. Like, you know, the first couple of weeks probably weren't that enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? Like when you
No,
went
they
from,
weren't.
like you say, you started at 102, like the whole way down to probably 92. Like the first 10 kilos, it was like, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, yeah, great, we're losing weight, but not fully, you know, where I want to be.
the first 10 to 15 kilo. 10 kilo anyway, like every check-in I was listening to Keane saying, look, it's gonna come, it's gonna come,
yeah.
because that was the first initial probably 12 weeks at least.
Yeah, like let's say, like, what was the total? It was 102 to say 84. What's that? Fucking 16, say 18 kilos. So like, let's say the first 12 kilos come off. Okay, whatever, they're off, but you didn't. Like, it wasn't a crazy shift. And I was like, right, these next 8 kilos will have a much of a more visual shift than the
Yeah.
first 12.
And that's very hard for someone to
You just
understand.
need to get to that period that when, you know, when there's less of it there to lose, it's harder to lose. That's why we had to fucking ramp things up a little bit. But it's so much more enjoyable because you see them visual shifts,
Yeah.
literally kilo after kilo. You can wake up day to day and see a change almost towards the
Yeah,
back end of
yeah.
it. Whereas that's not gonna happen if you have 20 kilos to lose and you're just trying to lose the first one. Do you know what I mean? You're not gonna notice you going from 120 to 119. You know what I mean? You need to go from 120 to sub 100 to be like, okay, now let me look back. Okay, cool, there's a shift there, and let me finish off.
Yeah, well, we've done that slog now, and
Yeah.
now it's just actually managing it properly, and just it's new progress every single week, which is a big thing. And again, as I said, we'll do this again, couple of weeks, couple of months time, whenever I get him behind the camera again and get to sit down for a small few minutes. But like with both of our YouTubes now, we're going to be, you know, just again documenting the whole process. So with Keane's YouTube, again, very similar to mine. Head over, just see what he's up to. Again, it's very similar. We're just both documenting a lot of client stuff on your page, what we're up to. if you're looking and interested in coaching, you want to have a chat with either of us, again, obviously I'm a big part of Team CBC now as well, so the inquiry form is in the application.
Yeah.
The inquiry form is in the description.
In the description. Better get that
I need
one
to
right.
get better at this YouTube game, boy. But we're both obviously, you know, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and if I can get there before him, that's absolutely fine.
What are you
No
on?
issues with that. I'm only on 6 something,
Oh,
low
right.
600s, but you know, I've got like
I should get there.
The people,
if you're not fucking subscribe to me, come over to my page and subscribe to me.
but
alright?
like I can do a video like this. The people are watching till the end. You know what I mean? Are they watching till the end
Probably
of your
not.
videos?
Probably not. Like half my viewers don't even subscribe or like or comment or nothing.
Give us a like. Comment down below what you'd like to see if you enjoyed this style of video, and if you're not already, a lot of you aren't, which is, you know,
Heartbreaking.
heartbreaking on YouTube, not subscribed. Subscribe to both of our channels. If you're in a rut like I was myself at the moment, fill in the application form below. It's not an obligation for you to start working with us, but it's for us to give you an idea of, you know, what the future could look like for you, you know, down the line, and something that you might have been wanting to, you know, reach for a long time.
Lay out your timeline the same way we laid out yours and show you what is capable of.
Exactly. Give you an idea of what you could be looking at and what you are actually capable of. That you know you might be thinking, is this going to be possible? You know. Thanks for doing that.
No bother, right?
Thank you.
Peace.